Hey, everybody, welcome back to Empower, which is a faith based initiative designed to enlighten, empower, and embolden women of all ages to come into agreement with our God given purpose in the earth. I'm your host, Kim, and I'm so glad you joined me today. If this is your first time, welcome. If you've been here before, we're family now, sis. Let's get right in today's topic, which is blind spots. Now, in 2017, I had LASIK surgery because I was wearing glasses and I hated them and I didn't want to wear them anymore. So I was like, man, I got to get rid of these. So I went for the consultation, found out how much it cost, did all the things. And my eyes are pretty good. They're not 20/20, but they're super close. And importantly, I don't have to wear glasses. So it was an experience that was super beneficial to me. But the only reason that I could arrive at that decision to even check into the procedure, to know anything about it so that I could get it, is because I recognized that I was having vision problems. And so a blind spot is different from a vision problem. A blind spot, technically, by definition, is an area where a person's view is obstructed. So it's not the same as saying like my peripheral is off, because peripheral, I can see, but I can't see it clearly. Now, blind spot, which I'm sure if you've driven at all, is that part where you can't see. So you need to be careful now. If you have one of the newer cars, they have the little indicator on the light indicator on your, what are those called? Side mirrors, to let you know, no, you can't get over it. It's not clear. Because there's something there's a car, there's a motorcycle, there's whatever in this spot that you can't see. So if you try to get over, some of them buzz now, some of them have bells or whatever. At minimum, if you have it, the light will come on and let you know that, no, right here, you can't see it, but it's not safe right there. It's not safe to go. And so today I wanted to talk about character blind spots, areas in our life where we can't see it. For instance, say you have a child who's angry and has begun to demonstrate their anger through yelling or throwing things or having a fit. And you're like, I don't know why this child is so angry. But then you've had people say to you, maybe, you got a short fuse. Your temper, it flares up pretty quick. You can go from 0 to 60 in -2 seconds. But you may not experience that or hear that as anger. You might just think, I have short tolerance. I don't have patience for foolishness. I am busy. I have a schedule. I need to get things done. So efficiency may be how you view your short temper or your response. So sometimes you don't know that the reason that your child begins to show anger is because they see what your behavior is as anger. You may not see it that way, because especially if you've been this way for a long time, you just might think, this is just my personality. I'm not an angry person. Angry people do X, Y, or Z. Angry people, behave like this or look like this. But the danger about a blind spot is that it's it can cause a lot of harm. If you move over and are sideswiped, or sideswipe someone, it can cause death if you're driving a car. Have you ever been on the side of a truck and you know, because you can't see their side mirror, that they can't see you, and their blinker is on? You can see that, or know that you see them trying to move over, and you're trying to decide, do I speed up, do I slow down, do I fall all the way back, do I slam on brakes, what do I do to keep from being hit? This is how character blind spots can affect us, our relationships, things that are going on in our life, and we're not understanding why we're experiencing issues with certain people, or why maybe our friendships aren't lasting, or our marriage is struggling, why it's hard to make a new friend. And it could be because of a blind spot. The thing about, I'm looking at my notes, guys. The thing about blind spots is we need somebody else most of the time to help us see it. And that can be hard, because if we're honest, none of us likes to be criticized. Even if it's constructive, we can appreciate it. I'm not saying that you don't appreciate somebody pulling you to the side and be like, hey, you got lipstick on your teeth, or hey, whatever. You appreciate it. It's embarrassing. At first you're like, man, I wonder how long I was walking around like this. Why nobody saw me before I left the house? But you appreciate the fact that somebody told you. And so I'm not saying that we don't appreciate it, but it's hard to hear sometimes, especially if it's something that has hurt others, or it's coming from a person that we really wanted to make sure that they had a good impression of us, that we wanted to make sure that they viewed us highly. And it's important to an extent to care about how you're viewed and perceived by people, not to the point where you're changing and you can't be yourself, unless yourself is toxic. But to the point where you want to make sure that you're being experienced the way that you think you are, or the way that you want to be. So it isn't, our minds don't enable us to, it's when we're driving and we turn our head or we look behind us and we check and we don't see in our blind spot, it's not because we didn't check. It's not because we aren't looking. It's because we cannot see it. And so sometimes our character blind spots, they're not there because we don't care and we're rude and we, you gonna get it however I give it and whatever. Sometimes that's the case. But largely it's because I can't see it. I don't know that behavior is showing up. I don't know how it's being received. I don't know that at first. And so here are a couple of things that I wanted to suggest that can help you see if you have a blind spot. The first thing is you keep having the same relationship with different people. Everybody that you get into a relationship with, and I don't mean necessarily romantic, I mean friends, I mean coworker, I mean whatever, is a taker. They're always taking, always taking, always taking. An emotional parasite, always draining you and they never give anything back. Or you have people in your life and none of them respond well to your feelings. The problem is, most of the time when we have this type of problem, the blind spot that we don't know is there is like subconsciously picking our friends, their psychological profile. If I'm a person who I erase myself, and I'm such a people pleaser, and I don't really recognize that about myself. It only makes sense that I would be friends and and allow people who are takers to be in my close circle because I'm such a giver. I don't stand up for myself. I don't really pay attention to my needs. I'm a giver to a fault. And that's not saying don't be a giver, but to a fault. And then that's what enables people to feel like they can keep taking, because I'm not standing up and setting a boundary that says, no, you can't. And if, say, you're the person who people don't respect your feelings or respond to your feelings, could it be that you're so reserved because you have had this experience about people not responding well to your feelings that you begin to fade into the background? I call it living muted or in grayscale. And that was something that I did. I didn't want to ruffle any feathers, didn't want to be seen. For a while, I just let things go. I just became this person who was just, okay. Oh, you so easygoing. Thanks. Sounds like a compliment, right? And there's this thing that was going around on the internet. It was about pay attention to the people who respond negatively to your boundaries, because they're the ones who benefit from exploiting them. This is that type of situation. But if no one helps you see that blind spot, I literally thought that just was my personality. It isn't. But it was what I became in order not to ruffle any feathers. If you're a person whose outcome never changes, it's like no matter what I do, this is what's happening. It doesn't matter how much I try, how much of this or that, this keeps happening. The problem with that is, what are we doing to create this same outcome? Some people like, man, my luck will never change. Every time I look up, this is happening, that's happening. It's the same thing. I can never get ahead. Some of that could be the result of a blind spot. You don't realize maybe that you're speaking self-fulfilling prophecy. One of the things that I say all the time is change your confession. Stop saying things that are negative. Stop saying things that are harmful, especially about yourself and what you're doing and the outcome of your life. Don't say that. Speak positively. And this isn't about, like one of those self-help positive thinking things, but what I say enough times, I tend to believe it. And if I say things like, oh, I'm so stupid, I can't get this, or I can't get anything right, I always mess up, that begins to happen. Because what do we like as human beings? We like to be right. And as weird as that sounds, it's true. We can speak it so much till we begin to subconsciously do it so that we can be right about it. See, I knew it. I knew it was going to be terrible. I knew it wasn't going to work. If you're one of those persons who people are constantly describing you as a way that you don't see yourself, like people always tell me that I'm mean. People always tell me that I am not friendly, or people thank me because I'm so giving. People they invite me because they always say yes. Whatever that is, if you're tracking the pattern of how people speak about you and it's not something that you like, chances are it's a blind spot that needs some attention. So those are just a couple of ways to kind of know I'm operating in a spot where I don't like it, and what can I do to fix it? So here are a couple things, couple of questions to ask yourself. And it was difficult for me because these are the questions that I asked myself. that made me become reflective and be like, oh, I don't like that, so I need to fix it. So I'm going to share them with you. They're not fun and they're not easy, but when you begin to think about it and sit with yourself and be like, okay, let's think through this, you'll begin to get some answers and some clarity, I believe. The first one is, what am I afraid to know about me? What am I afraid to know? Second one, what's the one thing I least want to accept about me? What do I sense without knowing? Something is off. I don't know what it is, but I can tell that something's going on. And when you begin to ask yourself these questions and you begin to get answers, don't jump into trying to fix it right away. Like, think through it, process it, because 9 times out of 10, it took you a long time to get to that place. And jumping in head first and trying to fix it all, and that can be discouraging, especially if you have several blind spots like I did. It can be discouraging. So what I would suggest is, like, for 1 week, just ask one person a day about this certain thing. For instance, you can say, is there anything about me that I don't seem to see, but it's obvious to you? And it can be positive or negative, because we have positive blind spots. I had those too. Things that I was actually good at, things that I should try to explore more and reinforce that I didn't know. And by asking certain questions, you can find out things about yourself, negative and positive. So, as I said before, sometimes we don't want to hear the answers. So feedback is scary, okay? Getting the answers back from people that you trust now. It's difficult. But when other people answer your question, or when you hear the same thing over and over again, or y'all have a conversation with your friend or whatever, just say thank you for the feedback. Just say thank you. Once you ask the person, is there anything about me that you notice that I don't seem to be aware of? And they tell you, just say thanks. Just say thanks. Second, dismiss useless feedback. First, don't ask a person whose opinion you don't respect in the first place. Don't even do it to yourself. For instance, useless feedback. No one could ever love you. Well, that's stupid. But what could be helpful as feedback is, you project a lot of hostility and it scares people. Then you say, thank you. And you go and like, hostility? What do I do? It scares people. Then you can sit with that and begin to work through some issues. And absorb the truth. What is it that I don't want to know about myself? It goes back to that. Sometimes, as my granny used to say, everybody ain't lying on you. Make that important. Everybody ain't lying. So if several people tell you the same thing and you're like, I don't see it, 9 times out of 10, if it's several people, it's most likely true. It at least deserves some attention. So, blind spots. It's worth checking into. It's worth thinking about. It's worth, sorry for all the noise. It's worth processing. It's worth fixing. Because you're already such a good person. You already have so much to offer. People can benefit from you. Imagine how much better it would be if you operated with complete unobstructed vision. If you could see what others see, if you addressed it, if you fixed it, you work towards being how you want it to be, you'll be better. You'll appreciate it. So will everyone else around you. So That's the end of our episode today. Thanks so much for joining me. I'd love to have you join me again next Monday. I upload videos every Monday. You can find previous episodes of Empower on Facebook.com/Empower, MPOWHER, on Instagram at Empower540, and on YouTube by typing Empower in the search bar, MPOWHER. If you enjoyed what you heard, please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I will see you all next Monday. Thanks. Bye.